This is RedHawk Football Weekly with Miami head football coach Chuck Martin. Brought to you by the G&J Pepsi-Cola Bottling Company of Hamilton. You are in Dew Country. Koenig Equipment, found online at KoenigEquipment.com. Tim Hortons Cafe and Bake Shop. Great tasting food, amazing coffee. And by Miami Valley Gaming. Easy to get to just off I-75 at exit 29. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966. Hello again, everyone. Steve Baker, the voice of the RedHawks, here with Miami head football coach Chuck Martin. The web-only edition of RedHawk Football Weekly, wrapping up the 2015 campaign. A 2013 win for Miami against the Minutemen of UMass in Amherst earlier today. We just got back to Oxford. Want to talk with Coach Martin. A really good football game today for your team. A struggle in the first half offensively, but boy, did your defense just play great football all game long.
Yeah, start to finish, defense obviously played well. We really did a nice job. We misfit one run in the second half after a turnover. Their tailback bounced it for a 28-yard touchdown. We stopped the run like we knew we had to because we didn't want them to be balanced. We wanted to make it more like Eastern Michigan when they knew they couldn't run it, and then they have to throw the ball. And we had the ability then to double Sharp, which was key, and we doubled him a bunch during the game, and he had 4 catches in the first 11 plays, and then he had 2 catches the rest of the game. And then we also played a lot of zone coverage where we could get underneath defenders on him and have over-the-top defenders. And then again, when we got to third and long, our pass rush guys, JT and Albright, Akeem, Smearcheck, were fantastic all day of harassing Thornapple. So 60 minutes, an unbelievable defensive effort, and then like you said, struggled in the first half, but then we got things going.
Yeah, I do want to talk about the defense because going into the game, you knew you were without Kent Kern, you knew you were without T.J. Williams, Bucci Okafor, and the young guns, I'll call them back there, just did a great job all day long in the back half, and as you mentioned, the front four, consistent pressure on the quarterback all day. Yeah,
it was a fantastic job. When you lose Kent Kern, obviously, and then you replace him with a true freshman, Junior McMullen, and Junior's played some this year, but like the guys that have backed up JT and Albright, he's played less because you don't want to take Kern off the field. There's been more even rotations, but with Kent, it's keep Kent out there as much as you can. So Junior's played some, but now he's thrusting, he's starting, and it's a difficult game plan because we're doing some different things because we're trying to double Sharp, and we don't do a lot of double teaming. We have a lot of dual calls based on tendencies, and he played a ridiculously phenomenal game. He led our defense. He communicated. He got us in the right stuff, and then he flew around and made plays. He saved a touchdown in the first half, knocked the kid out of bounds in the 2, and they had to settle for a field goal instead of scoring a touchdown. So he was fantastic. DeAndre Montgomery continues to impress. He played fantastic in for T.J. Williams, and DeAndre's played more, but T.J.'s been the starter, and he had to play the whole game today. And then obviously Tony Reed stepped in for Bucci, and Tony had a big time game. And it starts with our D-line. Our D-line's been the dominant force, and they were again in the run in the pass today, but those young guys behind him did a great job. And then obviously having Bryson Burrs back there is also a big help.
You trailed 6-3 at the half, and the 3 points you got a great 48-yard kick from Caleb Patterson in the first half. But in the second half, we talked a lot this season about playing with intent, and you decided to go power run, and the intent was there by your running backs, and it really turned around the football game.
Yeah, and I was even excited at halftime, even though we didn't have any yards. The one time we got down to, they had a late hit on our quarterback, and then Billy scrambled and hit Hudson on a third down play. And we got to the 31, and for one of the rare times this year, we didn't go backwards. And Caleb makes a huge kick to get it to 6-3, which was fantastic. In the second half, we just said, hey, we want to run the ball north and south. We're struggling blocking. Let's get some double teams. Let's get the ball heading to, at least we'll get to 2nd and 10, maybe 2nd and 9. Start off the second half, we basically ran power right down the field. We did mix in a couple passes. Billy hit Rowe and hit some other people, but basically ran the ball right down their throat and set the tone, took the lead, and then ran the ball fairly effectively for the rest of the half and had a couple of huge fourth quarter drives where we got some key first downs to really shorten the game and help our defense out.
Yeah, so over 100 yards in the game, had a touchdown, 18-yard touchdown run for you. And when you did pass the ball, and again, we talk about the injuries that you had going into the game. You didn't have Gus as a backup. Billy, we talked about his confidence after the game in the post-game press conference. He just continued to grow with that confidence, and then he hit everybody. Rowe, Jared, Huddy had a great catch in the end zone for you. Guys really stepping up.
Yeah, and they got in unbalanced. Our offense got unbalanced. and they got into some cover 3, and then we got Rowe one-on-one, which is a key. And Rowe had a big second half for us, and continuing to move on our touchdown drive when we hit Huddy, Rowe had 2 or 3 big-time completions. And but we found a way to get him one-on-one. A lot of it had to do with getting unbalanced. We were running power. They spun to cover 3, and now the run game's helping the pass game. We get Rowe one-on-one where we like him, and he had a big second half. And then obviously the throw to Huddy was a great throw and catch, and obviously we need that touchdown. Otherwise, we've been settling for a field goal, and UMass would be trying to drive down to win the game. But got some things going, and then Billy just managed the game, and it's the first time in his, it's his 7th game starting that he didn't try to do too much. He threw the ball out of bounds a couple times a day, which I about did cartwheels, and the fans don't like that until you throw interceptions, and they think maybe they should have thrown the ball out of bounds. And Billy did scramble and make a play to Huddy. He made some other plays scramble where he ran and got positive yards. And then he also scrambled and threw the ball away, and we had no negative plays under duress, which, again, has been his Achilles heel. So he really had a great purpose today. He's learning every week. And without having the change-up with Gus, he really did a nice job managing the game for us.
Final game of the regular season, Miami wins it 20-13. And you talk about momentum during the season. Well, we can talk about momentum now with that win. The young guys see what it's like to get that big win, and it really propels you into the offseason and towards spring ball.
Yeah, and our team's learning. Again, I said this, I think, earlier in the season when you asked me. I think year one, we come in and we go from being non-competitive to competitive, and we break a long losing streak, and we win another game. And we go in the offseason and feel like, wow, we're way better, which they knew they were way better. So then we do a lot of good things in the offseason. Kids worked harder than they've ever worked. And I really thought going into the year – we were going to be a much better football team, and we are right now. We're a much better football team than we were 1 year ago today. The record isn't much better, but I think our kids early in the year had a false sense of we've arrived and it's going to be easy because we did all this work in the offseason, and they didn't really know what it takes to win college football games. And I think the second half of this year, and particularly starting with Western Michigan, they really started to grind like a team that wants to win games and really compete and really fight and really – now the mental part has to continue to come, and some of that's just lack of experience at certain positions. But I think down the stretch they learned at Western Michigan, man, we played with a good team and a couple mistakes here, and we're right in that game. Then they learned at Buffalo, man, 2 really bonehead mistakes on 4th down cost us the game, and that would have been a victory. And then a good win against Eastern, a good team win. And then, again, last week, a bundle of mistakes the first half, and then we get back to 34-28, and they're thinking, man, we can do this. And then today, obviously playing very smart football and playing it close to best and grinding it out and winning. So I think we're still in the process of figuring out how to win, and it's a great winning 2 of the last 3, breaking a 22-game rule. We haven't won a road game at Miami since 2012. And, yeah, we're getting better, and people are excited, but we're still going through the process, and it's coming, and we're excited about having another great offseason and taking another giant step next year.
It was a big day in Amherst today. Miami wins at 20-13. Let's take a look at some of the highlights of the day. The Miami defense was dominant all day long, not only stopping the run, but putting tremendous pressure on UMass's quarterback, Blake Fronapple. In the early going, the defensive ends, Bryson Albright and J.T. Jones, were instrumental in limiting the UMass Minutemen to only 2 field goals. After the Minutemen took a 6-0 lead, a roughing the passer penalty aided Miami and got the offense a little untracked as freshman quarterback Billy Ball scrambled to hit Chris Hudson for 12 yards. Later in the drive, Ball again would scramble, picking up a key first down and getting Miami into field goal territory. That was where Caleb Patterson connected from 48 yards away to get Miami on the board. The RedHawk defense continued to finish the half strong as Akeem Allen and Tony Reed teamed up to get Young at the line of scrimmage. And then Bryson Albright would once again hit the quarterback, Blake Fronapple, for no gain. The RedHawks and the Minutemen would go to the half with UMass holding a 6-3 lead. The RedHawks would come out and have the opening possession of the second half, and the offense became untracked and went right to work. First with Kenny Young for 11 yards. Then Billy Ball would hit Rokeem Williams, one of his favorite targets in the second half, first for 13 yards. And then on 2nd and 8, Ball hits Jared Murphy for 16. First and 10 at the UMass 41, and Alonzo Smith, who would finish the day with over 100 yards rushing, gets 8 for the RedHawks. Senior Spencer McInnes would rush for 9 yards and get Miami in the red zone. On the very next play, Alonzo Smith for 18 yards, and Miami would have their first lead. One RedHawk turnover on the day as Kenny Young is hit and the ball comes loose, and the UMass Minutemen recover. That would lead to this 28-yard gallop by Young, and UMass would once again lead the football game. The RedHawks respond as Billy Ball once again finds Rokeem Williams, and the yard after the catch, that's 23 for the RedHawks. A key third down just outside the red zone. Billy Ball recognizes the blitz and goes to tight end Nate Becker for 8 yards. Miami would tie the football game as Caleb Patterson hits from 28. UMass's next possession would start at the 20, and they would go nowhere but backwards, thanks to great plays by Bryson Albright, Alan Koikoi, and Brad Koenig. Tied at 13, the Miami offense goes to work. From the RedHawk 45, Billy Ball finds Rokeem Williams for 14 yards. Second and 7 from the 38, guess who? Rokeem Williams for 18 yards. And then in the red zone, Chris Hudson would win the battle in the end zone from 14 yards out, and Miami took the lead for good. Bryson Albright, who had a fantastic day against the Minutemen, would ensure the Miami victory with his first career interception as the RedHawks go on to the 20-13 victory over the Minutemen. Back with head coach Chuck Martin, Steve Baker here, and coach, the season over. You maybe get a 12-hour period here to relax just a little bit, and then you're back out on the road getting ready for next year.
Yeah, no, it's interesting with our bye week being week 12, and normally the bye week's a big week on the road recruiting. You get 43 days in season. We've used most of them, but everybody's going to be heading out either Sunday or Monday and rolling when this tape is being played. We'll be already on the road. I'm heading to Minnesota. We got guys all over the Midwest, obviously, and then we've got some guys even heading down to Georgia on short notice. So we're going to be out Monday and Tuesday this week before Thanksgiving break, and then we're gonna come back obviously in the first week of December and hit the road. That's a different cycle for us, and hit the road for the 2 weeks before we go dead on December 15th. So we've got a lot of work to do between now and the signing date. We've got a lot of great commitments at this point in time, but we still got a lot of work to do to finish out this class. And no rest for the weary, because we'll get some rest after February 3rd. We'll get some rest. So great that we showed so much progress. It's really going to help us recruiting these wins down the stretch and playing better down the stretch, and everyone knowing the amount of talent we have coming back that got some really good experience this year will help us finish out this class.
Coach, I appreciate all the time that you've taken all throughout the year, as always, with Hawk Talk and the pregame interviews and obviously the TV show. Appreciate all the time, and really love working with you, and good luck in this offseason. Let's go get them.
Appreciate it. We'll be talking at the signing day.
Very good. Look forward to that NLI signing special coming up in February. For head coach Chuck Martin, I'm Steve Baker. Thanks for watching. This has been RedHawk Football Weekly, brought to you on the Miami IMG Sports Network by the G&J Pepsi-Cola Bottling Company of Hamilton. You are in Dew Country. Koenig Equipment, found online at KoenigEquipment.com. And by Tim Hortons Cafe and Bake Shop. Great tasting food, amazing coffee. And by Miami Valley Gaming. Easy to get to just off I-75 at exit 29. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966. RedHawk Football Weekly is an exclusive presentation of the Miami IMG Sports Network.